Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. It is Valentine's Day, Monday, February 14th, 2022. I am Salad Blue Sister, and this is My Turn to Talk. Welcome, the only crazy lady. How are you? You are number one. And here is Bahram. He is number two. And Frankie, you are number three. Welcome, everyone. I hope everyone is having a good day. Yes, crazy. You get a cookie. Woohoo! You're slacking, Frankie, Bahram, and Crazy Lady. Okay. We are going to get started. And Crazy Lady, I can give you a cookie, but it'll have to be store-bought. I am not a baker. So today we're going to talk about conspiracy theories, fact or fiction. How and why do conspiracy theories start? Who starts them and why? Have any ever been proven to be true? Do they help or harm society? So that's the topic for today. And the definition of a conspiracy theory is a belief that some covert but influential organization is responsible for a circumstance or event. So that is the definition of a conspiracy theory. And, there are a lot of conspiracy theories, that are out there, that have, throughout the years, throughout the decades, whatever, probably centuries. And sometimes for me, I am someone who I don't really get behind them. I mean, people can believe whatever they want to believe, but some of them, to me, and this is just me, some of them seem just a little bit outrageous, and some of them actually, in my opinion, they can harm society. And I'm going to mainly, the main one that I want to bring up is the Sandy Hook shooting by Adam Lanza back in Newton, Connecticut in 2012. You had 27 people who were killed that day, including the shooter's mother. She was the first victim. And even though a lot of people don't want to include her because, she was the mother's victim, she was still killed by her son. And then he went on and he killed 26 other people, including children. The majority of them were, I do believe, they were second graders. And we have someone who, for the most part, some people think that it wasn't true. Some people think that, Sandy Hook was staged. And one of the biggest conspiracy theories out there is Alex Jones. And he's been sued multiple times. But when you start getting into conspiracy theories and you have people that are grieving over, their loved ones, to say things like that, I think that's very harmful. But then again, you have people who, they think that John F. Kennedy Jr. is coming back. He was supposed to come back so many times, but he's not back yet, So again, my first question is, how and why do conspiracy theories start? So I'm going to open it up. If anyone wants to join, and see, Crazy Lady, I'm going to send you out an invite, and Bahram, I know you have something you want to say, and we'll wait for everyone else to drift in. So let's see, Bahram is on, and the only Crazy Lady, I see you're supposed to be on, but I don't see you on my panel. So hold on one second. Let me do something real quick. I don't like when this happens. I sent you another invite.
I can see her on the panel if that helps.
But I don't see her on mine, so she's not going to come up. Crazy lady, can you go out and come back in? I don't know why this happens. Let's see. Okay, let me send the invite out to you again. And there you are. Okay, there you are. Okay, who wants to go first? Bahram, you want to go first, or Crazy Lady, you want to go first? Who wants to go first?
I'd like the only crazy lady to go first
Okay.
if you're ready. Obviously, it's
Okay. Crazy Lady, you want to go first? The gentleman is yielding to the lady.
okay. I'll go first. She says, "Let ba." I'm in a bad
Okay.
spot. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm sure everyone knows by now that I am the crazy conspiracy theorist of the group, and I'm very proud of that tag, especially because of the last couple of years since COVID's came along. There's a lot of things that were considered the craziest of conspiracy theories back in 2019 that now are considered the normal behavior. And it's funny because I often see the same people that I made these predictions to back in 2020 before COVID even hit the UK. These people were calling me crazy and laughing at me and walking away and getting angry are the same people that now defend the things that I was saying and saying, well, obviously we have to have them, whereas 2 years ago it was crazy. Not every conspiracy theory is true. There are crazy, what I would consider crazy ones. I think sieving them out to realize which ones are and which ones aren't is all down to yourself. I think everyone, including yourselves, everyone in the world are conspiracy theorists to a certain degree. It's just, where do you get off? Where's your limit? Where do you draw the line? I've yet to meet someone who doesn't believe in a single one, and they might even not know it yet. They might even say, I don't believe in any, but yet they'll sit in their living room or kitchen and rant about government and how corrupt they are, and that is conspiracy. That is that they are conspiring against the people, whether it be MPs in the UK filtering their money into offshore bank accounts and avoiding tax. A lot of people, brought that up when I was younger, and that's considered a conspiracy theory, but it became mainstream and it was admitted. So, it's just, for me, it's just, I feel that a lot of conspiracy theories are more realistic than the mainstream. The only reason that most people don't believe in the conspiracy theory is because they have a harmful trust in people wearing suit and ties. That's the only way I can put it. I think authority telling you a narrative is what people rely on and feel safer if you're told something from your president or a politician or a prime minister. It's more that they would believe that than someone like myself who, I'm just a 33-year-old guy, an average guy. So why would I trust a 33-year-old guy? I'm going to trust someone in power, someone with authority over that person.
Okay, you make some good points, and Frankie also said that she had a good point. I do believe. Welcome, Petty Deb. So let me ask this. So the conspiracy theories that are out there, you know, you said that people are probably more willing to, believe a politician or something over, just us little people, whatever, however you want to put us. But there are some conspiracy theories out there that, that people in power put out there. I mean, there's one that's going around right now that some people consider the big lie, that is that is a, is a conspiracy theory to some people. So why do you think they get started? And that's for Bahram.
Because you have people, and this is where I have to tread, because for me, I think critical thought is the difference between conspiracy theorists and non-conspiracy, or if you believe the mainstream, you're more likened. Now, this is very broad and very general. Over, it's not everyone, but most people watch the news and take it for fact, and the conspiracy theorists analyze it and research. They've got, I've got folders on my phone with tons of saved articles, saved screenshots, videos, um, things that I've done research, and I remember. And when I'm fact checking and doing things like that, I'm not trusting everything that comes out of the TV. So conspiracy theories starting, I don't know who initially starts them. Obviously, if it's just a feeling, you would have to take each one individually and say where it started. But in general, because we know how the world really works, that there is a control factor to it by a group of people. We see the signs. We can kind of. I think that the biggest gift that we have that non-conspiracy theorists have to contend with is the fact that we are ahead of the game. It's almost as if we are predicting the future, that we have a glass ball and we can see what's going to happen, and we are right so many times. And when that happens, the non-conspiracy theorists, they're lost for words. They're like, well, they try to um, try to defend that thing happening or make excuses for why it happened rather than just admit that we were right. And it's not a gift. It's not that we can see the future. It's just when you know the way the world is being pushed, and you know that the agendas that these people have, and books like 1984 by George Orwell, documentaries that have gone on in the past, you know what the world's going to end up looking like in the next 10 years even. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Okay, you make a lot of good points, and that guy says conspiracies exist, just people can't believe ones that come from seemingly reputable places. TMZ makes, I'm assuming, makes it difficult to corroborate stories all the time. And Frankie says, another good point. I agree with you, Bahram, up to a point, because I don't want to have to spend my entire, if I watch the news, I don't want to spend my entire time, backtracking and checking and checking people, because when you fact check a lot of people, who are, I mean, pretty much everyone is wrong with something. But when you say that you can pretty much predict and kind of can see what's going to come next, yeah, but you can say that about a lot of things. And some people may not want to hear this on the panel, but because Bob Ram said it, I am going to go there. um as an African American, um I can pretty much see and say, well, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, because it always has. So, is that a conspiracy theory that I have, that me living something every single day, you know, being around things that I see that other people may not, or think that, oh, you all are just making it up or whatever. But for us, it's very real. So when you look at a conspiracy theory, for you, that could be very real. So aren't they the same? I mean, doesn't everyone have a a conspiracy that they can say is going on?
No, no. I mean, I mean, the things I was predicting back in 2019. I mean, I have a few guys I kind of look up to, guys that are in their 50s and 60s that have been the same as me, but for way longer. I've only been this way for 5 or 6 years, so I look up to these guys, and I've only met one of them once, and the other one lives at the other side of the world, and uh, when I one of them bumped into a guy whilst walking his dog, and he turned around, and this was middle of 2019, and he turned around and said to him that in next year we're all going to be wearing masks, we're all going to be told to stand 6 feet apart, and we're all going to have our freedom of movement stopped, and we're all going to have vaccine passports to get into businesses and fly. And also the one that hasn't happened yet, but I know it's going to happen, is that there's going to be a one world currency. And this guy laughed at him, and then about 6 months later, when COVID hit and all that happened, this guy's tanking it down the road in his car, and he slams on the brakes because he sees my friend, and he jumps out the car and he says, "Wow, I've been looking for you everywhere. Every Sunday I'm out walking my dog looking for you. You were so right." And this is a long shot from, the kind of things I think you were alluding to. I'm not talking about just, social constructs, like things that happen and you can see happening. Like, for instance, maybe you could see that the shops were going to take a hit and we're going to start doing more online shopping. I think that was kind of, although it maybe was a conspiracy theorist at one point, maybe years and years ago, but you can kind of see the way the world's going with that things. But I'm talking more bigger things, like, and I don't mean to kind of put your ones down. Maybe you were talking about other things, but um, you know, these predictions, I believe, are, the reaction that I had from people and the guys that I worked with when I told them that when COVID comes, we're going to have vaccine passports and all that. And they all laughed at me. Some of them even deleted me from WhatsApp. Like, I was in group chats with them, and they kicked me out. They were no longer friends with me. And like, when it all happened, I got a random phone call one night from one of them, saying, "I've just seen the video from Australia saying that to leave Australia you have to be fully vaccinated, and I'm so sorry for not believing you." And he now is part of my, I have a channel on Telegram, and he's regularly asking questions, and he's, what we would call woke up. He knows that there is, something going on that's not natural.
But do you consider that a conspiracy theory, just to say that, when COVID hit and, standing 6 feet apart and people having to wear masks, whatever, and this is, of course, is before the vaccines, whatever, is that a conspiracy theory, or is that just something that, was going to happen because supposedly we're in the middle of this pandemic, that is, that somebody breathes on you wrong, then you can get it. Is that a conspiracy theory? Because I think that anybody could kind of predict that, if you have, something that is, going on, that you're going to have to stay away from people, whatever. So is that a conspiracy theory, though?
Yeah, it is, because you maybe missed. He said this in 2019, before COVID was even mentioned. No one knew COVID existed. COVID wasn't even a thing. And even when I said it, I learned this from him, and I went to my friends at work and said the exact same things before COVID had even reached the UK. It was only in China and America at that point. So who would have known, especially for him, that a virus or something was going to happen to the world when this was the middle of 2019. The first case of COVID was November 2019. He was saying this early 2019, and I was saying it before it even hit the UK. And we've had Ebola, we've had SARS, we've had epidemics before, and they never caused us to have to stay 6 feet apart, wear the masks. So I think that prediction is way more. It should get way more praise than it deserves, and not praise. It's maybe not a nice word because it's not a nice thing that's happened to the world, but we can see what's going to happen because the elite they do tell us as well. The presidents, the prime ministers, they drop hints. We know the way the world's going to go, even within the next. Well, here's another. I'll give you a prediction here. Anyone, you don't have to answer. Anyone that's in the chat, do you believe in aliens? I certainly don't, and I never will. But I can guarantee that the majority of the world will believe in aliens and UFOs by 2025. And obviously, if we still know each other in 2025, you can answer me back then. But there's a prediction that I'll tell you.
Okay, well, okay, I am going to answer that, and some people may laugh. I do believe. I don't know if I want to call them aliens, but I do believe that there is life on other. I mean, we don't know. I mean, I've never been to. I've only been on Earth, but I think that it is a possibility. I think anything's possible. Now, going back to your predictions, this what is going on. If you believe in the Bible, it was predicted way, way,
Yep.
way, 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 way back. The book of Revelations has pretty much, if you read the book of Revelations, and I encourage people, whether you are believe in the Bible or not, or just want to, you're bored one day and you don't have anything to read it, because the book of Revelations has pretty much outlined everything that was going to happen. So, people have been dropping hints. You may have been saying it since 2019, but the Bible said this is what is going to happen. And I truly believe that we're at the end of days. I truly believe that in my lifetime, I may experience the end of the world because the Bible said so. So in terms of what people predicted and stuff, this was predicted long before any of us were even here.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's exactly it. That's we use the Revelation, the Book of Revelations, and things like that as references. Like I'm under no illusion that he used that as well. But also, I mean, you've got to remember this was middle of 2019. How was he to know that it was going to be next year that COVID would hit? It could have been 2022, 2030. He knew exactly that it would be next year. And I've yet to ask him how he knew that, because I mean, I'm as I said, I'm only 5 years into this, and I've had my predictions. My big one, and it's just going to be sad, and I know this might offend some people or whatever, but I have screenshots where I am in a group chat with my friends from back home who are not into conspiracies at all. They often poke fun at me, which I like. I've got thick skin. I like it. So I told them that in March the 22nd, there would be a terrorist attack or a shooting somewhere in the world, probably America. And lo and behold, we woke up on that Monday and there was a shooting in, I think it was Boulder, the Boulder shooting last year, last March. And they were all, messaging me that morning saying, "Wow, how did you know that?" And I says, "Well, do you believe me now that I can predict these kind of things?" And they're like, "Okay, tell us." And this again might sound crazy, and I'd maybe be better off just leaving it, but I'll tell you guys. You'll notice maybe on the 3rd of March every year there is a terrorist attack. Belgium was 2018 on the 22nd of March 2018 was Belgium. The 22nd of March in 2019 was London, a bombing on the bridge. There's one pretty much every March the 22nd, because that is Skull and Bones Day. If you look up the group Skull and Bones, George Bush was openly admitted that he was a member of it in an interview. And if you look at their symbol, it's a skull and crossbones, like a pirate flag, and the numbers in the center are 322. So it's March 22nd. So these secret societies, Freemasonry, Scientology, Skull and Bones, Jesuits, there are tons. These groups are who run our world, not Donald Trump, not Joe Biden, not Putin. These people are all part of cults, and they are taking orders. They're actors, and they carry out things like 9/11, like all the terrorist attacks. They fund ISIS, they fund the Taliban. It's all scare tactics, and people need, like I say, people need to wake up and hold the government accountable.
Well, Bob, let's see. Well, first I'll read what let me go back. Petty Debt said COVID was around 2019. It wasn't public knowledge, and that is true. Whatever people feel about China, whatever, it was there very much so in 2019. And then I want to read some of the things that guy said. When gender is called a social construct, I take umbrage. My girlfriend's ability to have children wasn't constructed by society. Okay, let me go up a little bit because I'm trying to figure out what he means by that. Okay, let me go up a little bit more. That guy, there's the through process to some that time is cyclical, not linear. I'm a huge Snoops fan. If you are very general and paint with a very broad brush, it's not that hard to predict the future. The level of racism in the FBI in the 60s is absurd. I can see why people treat them with suspicion. I guess I'm a little confused, that guy, when you're saying gender. Okay, Billy Graham made a lot of accurate predictions.
Okay, he said sorry, it was a tangent.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm reading down. Okay. Skull and Bones is Yale. A lot of powerful lawyers and politicians went to Yale. Now, I do want to say this, Bahram. I totally agree with you when you say Trump isn't running anything, Biden isn't running anything, Obama's not running anything. You're absolutely right. I do believe that there are other outside forces, and this is why I come back and I say that there are assholes on both sides. On both sides, and either you're going to admit it, agree with it, disagree with it, but it's true. We're all assholes to some point, even ourselves. But you are right, where there are outside forces that are running everything, and we're at a point where, everything is just so messed up, that you can blame one side and blame the other side, but all it is just like a ping pong ball, because nothing really gets any better. And if you think that it is, you're wrong. I am under no, I voted for Biden. I am under no, illusion, that things are any better, because I see them as the same. For me, my choice was, who did I think was the lesser of two evils? And Bahram and I, we have talked about this, but I do agree that there are outside forces that are running everything. And unfortunately, the little people, which is us, me, we're stuck with it. So, but Bahram, I come back to, since you're the only one on the panel, I have to ask you this. My second question is, who starts the conspiracy theories and why? So are you saying that these other outside forces start them, or do you think that other people start them? I mean, where do you think, why do you think these conspiracy theories get started?
What do you mean by started? You mean like who surfaces them, like online, or who begins them, who talks about them
Well, I
first?
mean, okay. For instance, okay, let's take Alex Jones, and again, I was talking about Sandy Hook. He said that Sandy Hook, that they were all actors, that those babies that got shot up, that they were actors. I don't believe that it was. I believe that children were killed that day. Children were murdered that day. So why do conspiracy theories start? Why do you go back and say something like this? This was staged, or these were actors, or JFK is going to come back, and he's going to be Trump's VP, when we know that John F. Kennedy is dead.
Mhm.
So that is what I mean. Who starts them and why? Why do you start them? Is it another way to divide people, or what?
I think it's just people being vigilant and critical thought. Like I don't want to talk about the Sandy Hook one directly. I'll talk about it in an indirect way, and you'll see what I mean. We'll talk about maybe the Boston bombing. That's one that I've definitely looked into, and one that I 100% believe is a false flag. Now, a false flag is when an entity attacks itself and blames it on someone else or something else. That goes back to pirate ship days, where pirates would attack their own selves, or they would put up their flag that would look friendly, so that the boat would come nearer to them, and then as they got into attacking range, they would turn their flag back to their own flag, and then they would attack them. So these things definitely happen. I believe 9/11 was a false flag, Boston bombing. There are loads, and there are ones that are actually confirmed as well. The Ajax, Operation Ajax, and Operation Gladio, they're confirmed. They've been admitted. JFK was asked to bomb his own people in an American vessel that was sat in the Gulf of Cuba, because Castro and the Russian government were getting friendly, and the American, we'll call them the cabal, the people behind the government, the people that we say are running things. They didn't like that Russia had, close attacking range to America. So they asked JFK to bomb his own people in an American vessel and blame it on Castro, so that they could go to war with Cuba. And you guys, maybe I'll stop there and ask you: do you believe that? Do you believe that?
I believe it's possible. I believe
Yeah.
that when it comes to the government, and again, I say on either side. So someone can say that someone's an ass, or someone is a joke, or whatever. On either side, I think it's possible for anybody who has power in the government to put a hit out on anybody. And yes, I am
Yeah.
saying put a hit out on anyone. I think anything is possible. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So JFK said no, and it didn't happen. And a lot of people believe that's why he was assassinated. But anyway, that was actually confirmed. The American government came out and admitted that, but not too long ago. Actually, it came out in the Freedom of Information Act. So they've admitted that goes on. So for me, people need to realize that if that went on then, and I mean, there's tons of conspiracies that have been confirmed. Before tonight, because I knew the show was happening, I actually looked up something that I'd never looked up before, but I typed into the internet 10 conspiracies that became true, or got confirmed. And it just shocked me, because a lot of them here I haven't looked into, but a lot of them I have. Things like the CIA controlled journalists in the media, and I think that one's definitely obviously true. The CIA experimented with mind control, so that one's pretty scary. But in 1955 to 1975, the American government took them to a lab and dosed them with LSD. They didn't know that's what they were taking, and they wiped their brain, like lethal doses of LSD, and then persisted to control them. And that was outed, and the American government then admitted it, and it's called Project MK Ultra for anyone that wants to look it up. But these are the things that I'm saying, like, when you know that these are confirmed and true, you then have to take that forward everywhere you go and apply it to every incident, like a 9/11, like COVID, anything like that. You have to be vigilant, you have to be critical thinking. And one of the main reasons that they carry out these acts is because they know that when we live in fear, like we are now, we are more likely to give up freedom. You may have heard Hillary Clinton say, never let a good never let chaos go to waste, or never let a good crisis go to waste. They know that we live in fear. We're more likely to give up freedoms. The Patriot Act was never, nobody wanted it. And then 9/11 happened and they just passed it through. Everyone was asking for it. So you have to ask yourself, if they know that they can take our freedoms when we're in a state of fear, how long before these people create the fear by creating terrorist attacks, 9/11s, COVIDs? To me, it's just common sense. And obviously that doesn't mean that everything is a conspiracy and everything is, there are raw, natural occurring disasters. But when conspiracy theorists last, when they stand the test of time, usually they're right. They're believable.
Okay. All right. Let me read some of the comments. That guy says, I think you, let me go back up again. I'll just go back when I read, see, okay, that guy says, Biden reminds me of my dad, and my dad has Alzheimer's. These people that still think Hubbard is coming back. I think you are giving the American government too much credit for 9/11. We were pretty incompetent. If you read the 9/11 Commission, and I have the book, and I did read it from front to back. And then Petty Deb is saying that in the U.S. 411 is for information. That guy says, I think the Federal Reserve killed JFK. He was issuing a new form of money backed by silver they had no control of. The U.S. Federal Reserve is privately run by a family. M. Cultra, that's crazy stuff. Thank you, Grid Talk, for liking the show. Jester says, to Barham, everything is a conspiracy. No Child Left Behind was a disaster. If you ask teachers, several politicians voted for it. They admitted because they didn't want to seem they were leaving children behind. There is no gold in Fort Knox. Our money is secured by IOUs. Okay, I do not believe that 9/11 was a U.S.-backed conspiracy. I think that I do believe that Osama bin Laden did plan and attacked our country in a way, and some people may not like what I'm about to say, but in a very smart way. Who would have thought to use a plane as a bomb? And he did it. I do not believe that our government did that. I don't believe that our government had anything to do with it. I think that attack allowed, our country to have a reason to go to war, but I do not believe that 9/11 was a conspiracy brought on by the American government. Petty Depp says there is no gold in Fort Knox. I think that's possible too. I mean, we're so broke. We owe everybody. So, I mean, who knows, how much money this country has. So, okay, and then that guy, you're saying that the Japanese with the kamikaze. No, you're absolutely right in terms of using a plane as a bomb, but at the same time, to use it to attack another country, they it was brilliant. And Jester says 911 was an inside job. I don't think that it was, but that's me. I'll send some invites out. If anybody wants to come on and speak, you are more than welcome. See, I just asked, because some of you guys are new to my show, that you be respectful. If you are not, I will bump you off. So, and everyone is not going to agree. And when you're not speaking, I ask that you mute your mic. So, see. Okay. And that guy, I think you're at work, but I still sent you an invite. Okay, so let's go to F1. You want to give any rebuttals, or you want to add to anything that I said or Bahram said?
Hey, Solid Blue Sister. Yeah, I agree with you with the 9/11. I do believe it was purely Bin Laden's mega scheme and planning that what he did was, smash the Twin Towers. I don't believe it was a government inside job.
Okay, and what about other things that Bahram said, just in terms of either JFK or that powers that be are not really running anything, that is really these other factions like the Freemasons and what have you? What do you think about that? And that's to F1. I was directing that question to you. Are you there? F1? You there? Okay, maybe he got a phone call. Okay, Crucible Man, welcome. So, what would you like to add?
Hello, everyone. Yeah, I can't speak to what Bahram was talking about. He's much more steeped in it and much better versed in the details of it. So I can't speak to that. I don't know about the Freemasons, but I believe that there is a shadow government, and there has been one probably for all the governments. I'm not just talking about the current administration. I think there are forces that are flipping the levers and the switches that are independent of what the government does. But I have not always been much of a conspiracy theorist. I've come around in the last few years. Obviously, COVID was instrumental in that. But what I always try to look at when it comes to conspiracy theories is I'm willing to go along and I'm willing to listen, because I think in theory, a lot of what you guys are talking about, I agree with. But where I kind of part ways sometimes is I'll go for the conspiracy theory if you can offer me at least some plausible detail about how it may have come about. And whether it's JFK or whether it's COVID or whatever you guys have been talking about, and I'm not criticizing the group, please don't misunderstand. People in general rarely offer up any plausibility to why they believe in a particular theory. In other words, some details. Give me a step-by-step breakdown of how you think exactly this went down, and then you might have my attention. But my issue with conspiracy theories is they all seem to be consistently short on plausibility. And I believe, my gut tells me, is because if there were details to offer, people would offer them.
Bahram, you want to answer, Crucible Man?
I would love to sit down one day and just, you could fire questions at me and vice versa. I could do the same to you, because I think a lot of it, from my point of view, I'm with my views. I like to have these conversations in canteens at work with men that I can tie around my little finger, because they don't look into these things. Like, this is the most outrageous conspiracy theory. I know that you guys are going to probably laugh right now, but I own it. I love, and this is my main conspiracy theory, the one that I hold dearly to my heart, because it's the one that I was originally told, and it woke me up and led me on to other things. But flat Earth is my favorite conspiracy, and it is, I 99% believe that we live on a flat Earth and not a spinning ball. So when I'm sitting in a canteen at work, just like today, we have a new employee, and all the men were, trying to wind me up, saying, "Oh, see him over there, he believes that the Earth is flat." And this new guy's like laughing and, asking me questions, and he's, his demeanor was so confident and cocky, and, trying to ridicule me. And I ruined him. I destroyed him, because what you'll find is, and maybe I'm talking for you guys in the group here, and I'm not doing it in a way to I'm not downplaying, like downplaying your education. Well, I'm downplaying your education, because it's the same education that I've received. It's public education, more than likely, which is it's nothing short of a shit show, in my opinion. But the questions that a non-flat Earth believer will ask are so like pathetic. Like it really shows up someone's mindset, like how dumb we are. The questions that precede someone telling you they believe in flat Earth. I know the first question you're probably all saying is, so if the moon and the sun and all the other planets are spherical, then why aren't we? Now that mindset, I'll use that as an example, is like going into a supermarket and pointing at a banana and saying, "What's that doing in the fruit section?" It's not a sphere like an apple and an orange and a grape and a cherry and a tomato. Why is it in the fruit section? and again, it's just an analogy, but that is how I view it's hard to think of terms, because I don't want to offend anyone, but to me, I use critical thought when I look at the world now. Before I got into conspiracy theories, I just accepted what came out of the TV and what came out of my school teachers' mouths, and I'm better for it. And like I said, I've got the gift of, I can now prepare for the future. I now can listen to the news, whether it be the radio on the way to work or the TV, and I can see through the lies. I know what they're pushing there. They'll take a murder in the UK here, and they'll use it to push an agenda. And I know what the agenda is before they've even mentioned what the agenda is. So it's obviously we can't get into all we could talk about 9/11, the Boston bombing, COVID, all these little conspiracy theories. We could talk all night about them, and I could give you all, my knowledge on it. But ultimately, if people look into it for themselves, they'll realize that it's not as plain sailing as it seems. There's more to it.
Okay. All right. F1, are you there?
Yeah, sorry, I'm back.
Okay. Did you want to comment on anything that Crucible Man or Bahram said?
I just wanted to, I don't know much about American history and politics, just from what I hear on the news. But like regards to conspiracy, I don't really believe in conspiracy too much. I mean, unless there's, I believe in facts and what's out there and evidence. So regards to like American politics and conspiracy theories, I can't comment too much about it. I can tell you a little bit about South Africa and stuff, which people do. There is a bit of conspiracy that side, and what some people think it's conspiracy, I know it's actual fact. But sorry, I don't know too much about American history and politics.
Okay. Are you from South Africa?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Well, I mean, even are there conspiracy theories that people have? Because I don't think a conspiracy theory is necessarily, U.S. or the U.K. I mean, conspiracy theories exist everywhere, So,
Yeah.
So, do you have things that go on in South Africa that you kind of question, or people spread or whatever, and you kind of, Is that true? Is it not true?
Yeah, well, one of the biggest issues, that some South Africans and politicians regard as conspiracy is farm murders. Farm murders happen on a daily basis in South Africa, and the South African president actually said on national TV that there's no such thing. But if you just do a bit of research, farm murders happen on a daily basis, and it's the highest crime rate in South Africa. Farm murders, farming is the most dangerous job to have currently in South Africa, and the government just blows it off as it doesn't exist. So yeah, that's just one of them.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that they say that it doesn't exist?
I'm not too sure why they don't want to acknowledge it. I'm not sure why they don't want to acknowledge it, but it definitely happens. I mean, there's so many reports and incidents, cases of farm murders, and the agenda behind it, why they don't want to report it, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the reason behind that is, but it's definitely a huge problem in South Africa, and just what brings the awareness to it is the way that they are being murdered. It's the women and children, the farmers, the way they get humiliated, the things they do to kids in front of the parents. It's if you do a bit of research on it, you'll be shocked. It's pretty gruesome.
I will look that up. Thank you. Crucible Man, you want to add anything to what Bahram and F1 said, or what I said, or what's going on in the chat?
I'll pass, Salad. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So my next question is, conspiracy theories, do they help or harm society? That was, my last question. Bahram, I am back to you. I mean, I think that conspiracy theories, if they're way out there, and if they're not justified and they're not proven to be true, I think they harm. So, Bahram, is back to you. What do you think?
I try to think off the top of my head. The ones that I'm thinking about wouldn't do any harm, because 99% of conspiracy theorists are all aimed at the fact or the theory that they are being carried out by the shadow government, the cabal, whatever you want to call them. So the only people that it can harm is them. I know you said at the beginning of your show, when you talk about Sandy Hook or some of these events, like, well, I'll use 9/11. I don't like talking about Sandy Hook. I have my views on it, but I know what happened to Alex Jones, and I don't like speaking about it. But when you look at 9/11, I'm willing to say that I don't think. Let's see, a way of putting this. Well, let's just say I died in 9/11. I would hope that my family would research what really happened in 9/11 and get justice for my life. So when you have conspiracy theorists saying that nobody died and there were actors, or the belief that 9/11 was it was actually a drone that was flown into the buildings and there was no people on those flights, they're not saying it out of hatred for the people that were on the flights. That they're not, nobody is that evil and not that cold-hearted. What we're doing is we're just saying that it's like we need to look into it. That there is evidence to show that they were drones and they weren't actually the flights that we were told they were, and it's not to hurt any families. It's to kind of get justice for these people's lives. Because as it stands, no one has gone to jail, even to this day, for what happened on 9/11. Nobody is in jail for that day. So I can't see that, unless there's one I'm not thinking about. We are, it's the same with the politics things. Like when I say my views on politics, like I'm anarchist. I want everyone to have the best. I don't want anyone being oppressed. And I have conservative morals because I believe they are the best for everyone. Everyone gets more freedom and all that. So there's no one that I am being, I think it's funny that we get called racists and things when we have our views, but really if you talk to someone and get to learn what they mean, you'll find that they want the best for you, regardless what race you are, if you're a man or a woman, it's they want the best for you. Whereas I feel that being asleep or just accepting the mainstream narrative or being on the left can sometimes be harmful to people. Like if you're intolerant, like we're going to be talking about freedom of speech, which generally is a more right leaning. Most people in the right are more pro free speech, because they don't want government having that power that they can take away words, and be corrupt with it. Whereas on the left, they're less pro free speech, which can come back to bite us one day. So I always feel that if you sit down and you listen to these people and not just jump to the gun and attack them with racist Nazi, you'll find out that we just want a better world, and that is what I want. Genuinely, I want us all to be, living better lives. I don't want our food contaminated with GMOs. I don't want fluoride put into our water. I don't want chemtrails spraying in the skies. I don't want terrorist attacks. So I'm sorry that if I say things like, I don't believe that those planes had any people on them. It's not because I'm saying that these people are liars. I'm just saying we need to look into it further and look at the evidence, and I can show you the evidence to back it up if given the chance. But not much people are willing to give people chances, as I've seen people walking out the room in disgust, and it's all too common now.
Okay.
Hold on, mate. I am coming to you, but I do want to say, Bahram, when you say, and I know we are going to do a show on freedom of speech, and I'll address that after the show. But when you say, the left doesn't believe in freedom of speech, I have to disagree with that, because I think that we do. And I think you have a whole group of people who very much fought and died and were lynched and what have you, to talk about freedom of speech, to have that right. And I'm sorry if I brought race into it, but you know, on one hand, I can see where the right's coming from. On the other hand, I see where the left is coming from. I don't think it's a right or left thing. We all want to have freedom of speech. You can have freedom. Both sides want to have the right to protest. Both sides sometimes do it in a violent way. Both sides do this. It's not just a left thing or a right thing. Both sides want what's best for everyone. I don't want people ramming cars in to me. At the same time, if I have a store, I don't want somebody breaking my windows and setting my building on fire. I think everyone wants what is best for everyone, and I think when we start doing this blame thing, this is where I think the conversation starts to go south, because again, I say there are assholes on both sides. So, May, I'm sorry. I am going to go to you, and then I will go back. So, May, you have the mic.
All right. First and foremost, hello everybody. Hope everybody's doing good.
Hello, May.
Solid. Ah. All right. Let's see where I can start. You said the left. Are you talking about the liberal left or what? I need to get some
I'm talking
clarification on
about
that.
the liberal left. I'm talking about however far
Oh
left you
no,
want to
no, we
get.
said
I'm talking about the conservative right. However far right you want to go. I'm talking about everybody.
no, but all right, you brought race into it. All right, let's touch on
Yes.
that for a bit. Um, who was it? Malcolm X. Yeah. If you listen to interview that Malcolm X did, you hear what he said about the left and the liberal, and you will get a fair enough understanding that those people don't want no fucking good for nobody. Trust me. We as individuals, as people, want good for each other, but whoever is in government or politics or whatever you want to call it, nothing. Sorry about that. Nothing. They want nothing good for us. So sorry that's your belief, but look up at that interview and you'll see for yourself.
I have
Yeah, I
seen
just want.
that interview, and I'm very well versed on Malcolm X.
So how can you really align? But that's your preference, as you said, freedom of speech, and that's the next thing. I do agree with everybody having freedom of speech. Yes, I do agree with everybody having their opinion, but it's not every opinion is valid. It's not every speech is valid. Some people just talk shit and try to fit some narrative of them talking utter rubbish, and that's where it just everything just throws the fuck out of hand, and it's just that's where we're in the state. Sorry, that's why we're in the state of what we're in right now. But as I said, everybody wants to be all inclusive. This inclusivity shit and freedom of speech and opinion, and everybody has the right to say something. Yes, I do not take that from anybody, but it's not everything needed to be said. That's not everything that needed to be listened to, because some of it has no good, but you're having people with the same ideology and the same view that's trying to fit that narrative or an agenda to sink us into more bullshit. But I want to touch on what Barham had said about 9/11. I agree wholeheartedly about everything that you said. I always say I myself is an anarchist as well, and people always often to think that it's something bad or it's good being a rebel because you question things. You don't just submit to what you've been told or shown, and that's what people are lacking in nowadays. For the 9/11 plane thing. All right, you're saying that you're not. What was it? You're saying that you don't want to discredit the lives of the families or the individual that's been lost or whatever. Trust me, you should, because there's always a thing. I don't know if a lot of people know about it, but it's called crisis actors. There are people who willingly, wholeheartedly give their life to fit the agenda of whatever the government needs to be done. Trust me, crisis actor, they were much there on 9/11, navigating around in the streets. All of that chaos that you saw, they weren't like individual civilians. Most of them was crisis actor, and it's been happening, but a lot of people don't know of the term. If you look at the term crisis actor, you'll see what they're about. Those are individuals who literally willingly give their life to the government agenda or the narrative of whatever scenario that's being played out. Some of them, I think most of them get paid for it, and their family get paid off. You notice they don't hear anything back from the families or the friends or anything because they're aware of the situation already. So trust me on that, Baram. You're very much right, but I know you're having some sense of sympathy, or you don't want to be non-empathetic around the podcast. Solid sister know me, so you know what? If something that I believe in, that what I'm saying, I'm not gonna have no empathy towards it because people are very fucked up individuals. I'm not saying everybody, but with every catastrophe or major incident, there are a lot of crisis actors involved, and people are aware of it. People are being paid off, and they still follow through with the ordeal because of money. So you can't trust any and every individual that you hear comes on TV crying, saying this and that. Like a month after you don't from them because they already know, but they had to just play the part to the scene so everybody can pull on people's heartstring. Like, it's very rough. But I get what you're saying, my brother, and I think everybody else who conspiracy isn't just a thing. It's some facts, but maybe some of it far fetched, but there's truth within it. That's all I gotta say.
Okay. All right. F1. Did you want to make a comment?
Yes, I mean, I just believe that politicians, both sides, need to hear more what the people have to say and what they need than their own agenda. I suppose it's you always find that come close to election time, they are all ears and they promise you the world, and once they get what they want or what they want is, then it's back to their own agenda again. So I believe they they do want the best for everyone, but they just sort of slip away from the end goal and push more towards their own agendas. So I just believe they I think they just need to pay more attention to the people and what the people are saying and what they need as opposed to their own agenda. That's all I really got to say.
Okay. Thank you.
Hold on.
Wait, hold on, mate. Crucible Man, you have been waiting patiently. What do you have to say?
Yeah, speaking of the people, I mean, is it okay if I go back and try to answer your original question? I'm not really having much to add to the latest discourse, but I think your original question, not original, but a few minutes ago, was when conspiracy theories circulate, do we do harm to the country? I think you were asking, does it create more division? And, I would think the obvious answer to that would be yes, as I think there are two camps in this country, and I think F1 may have touched on it when he made a comment a few minutes back. He's a fan of evidence and facts, and I think that's one camp. Then you have another camp that is willing to take a little bit of a flight of fancy and maybe indulge some of their beliefs that they have not been able to corroborate, and they're willing to take a flyer on conspiracy theories. But we hear a lot of words these days like disinformation and misinformation and propaganda and things. And I think that's a form. Conspiracy theories can be. I'm not saying they are. Can be a form of misinformation or disinformation if you have a group of people who insists on seeing facts and evidence before they're willing to buy into a conspiracy theory, and you have a group of people who they don't value science or empirical evidence. They're going more on their gut feeling. So you're inevitably going to create a division, whether it's intentional or not. I can't prove that, but anytime you advance something without plausible evidence, you're going to have two camps, one that buys in and one that doesn't. So I think division is almost built in to a conspiracy theory.
Okay. Mate, what did you want to say?
I was reading in the comments, but I'll leave that alone.
No, go
About
ahead.
what
What? As long as you're being respectful, what do you want to say?
No, it was just about the Black Lives Matter movement.
No, go
That's
ahead.
just like
What? Did you want to say something about that?
that's just one of those diversion tactics that they would use to get people all riled up, and you saw the outcome. Even though it might had started as a peaceful whatever, peaceful protest and stuff like that, but they ended up getting what they wanted and what they wanted to showcase. As I said, it's not really nothing to do with me, so I won't touch on that. I was I wanted to touch on what Crucible Man said. Like, how can I put it? right, Crucible Man. Let's see. Since COVID started, what have your thought process been? What have you been doing since like the time that you got at home? I don't want to say you didn't go to work but when we were in lockdown and we're all inside, what did you spend your time doing? Did you spend your time doing researches or just listening to what they were saying?
Is that directed at me?
Yeah,
That's to you.
yeah.
That's to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I did a lot of reading. I don't know if I did any specific research about any specific topic. Back when the lockdown started, we didn't really know that much about what was going on. So I didn't know what to be researching and whatnot. So I guess to answer your question, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to kill time. Was it spent constructively? Probably not. So I'm not sure if I'm answering your question or not, but I did spend a lot of time reading. Whether it was actual research, you could probably argue with that. Sure.
Mate.
Okay. Okay. Figures much. Because you're talking about misinformation and disinformation. Nobody does that better than the government. Nobody does that better than the government and the intelligence agencies. But that's something you can look up on your own. A lot of misinformation that they gives out to the public, and the whole background behind the true story of it has nothing to do what they told the public. But they have to fit some justification so you won't have an outcry or a madness saying that they invaded this country for this specific reason or they killed this leader for this specific reason. But as I said, to each their own. Um, the next thing is, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it there because people just need to think because you're talking about the gut feeling and have you never trust your gut feeling before? Because the brain, what the thing upside in your head, up your head, it doesn't really. It only transmit. It doesn't really. I don't want to say it doesn't do any thinking or the thought process, but the gut, everything else. I don't even know how to put it. Do some research on the navel area and that gut feeling that you always get. And whenever you're like, yo, you don't trust this kind of vibe and whatever, but it starts down inside your tummy or your belly, whatever you want to call it, and then everything else transmit to your body or your brain or your thought, and then you follow through. But that feeling came from the gut before. The brain is just there to transmit neurons and movements, and trust me. But do some more.
Well, okay. This is what I think. Not that you guys care, whatever. But the bottom line is, we all have brains. We all can think. We all have free will. We all make choices. We all choose to believe certain things, to follow certain things, to not follow certain things, to believe certain things. Just like with, COVID and, getting the vaccine and wearing a mask, whatever, it's a personal choice. And I've said this on other shows, and you guys know how I am. You all know I am vaccinated, boosted. I still wear a mask. That's what I choose to do. I don't need anybody telling me that I'm wrong. If you choose not to be vaccinated, if you choose not to wear a mask, that's up to you. So people, in terms of conspiracy theories and you know um uh the information that people have, whether it's the left, the right, whatever, the bottom line is people are going to do what they want to do. They're going to believe what they want to believe. But we still have this thing called the government, not just in America, but across the globe. There are governments that are in place that are running everything. So we can either choose to continue to fight each other and blame the left, blame the right, blame the independents, blame parliament, whatever, or we can find some way to come together, because right now it just ain't happening. And my mother would kill me if she knew I was saying the word ain't. It just is not, it just isn't happening. So that's where I stand. And again, in terms of Malcolm X, when May, like I said, I'm very well versed in Malcolm X. I'm very well versed in a lot of people. But just because Malcolm said it doesn't mean I have to believe it. Just because Martin Luther King said it doesn't mean I have to believe it. Just because Trump said it or Biden said it or Obama said it doesn't mean I have to believe it. We all have free will. So conspiracy theories, some of them harm. Bahram, you did not want to talk about Sandy Hook. I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, it's because you're talking about children, whatever. But there are a lot of conspiracy theories out there. There are conspiracy theories out there about the Vegas shooting. People say that it didn't happen. I know 3 people that were killed. I went to 2 of their funerals. So unless that was a lie, I'm sorry, but that did happen. So that's where I stand. Again, you're going to believe whatever you want to believe. There are assholes on both sides, and you can blame and you can do all this other stuff, but there's just so much information out there. What do you believe anymore? So on that note, I'm going to go to Bahram, and I'm going to go around the room. And does anyone else make your closing arguments or whatever you want to say? I'm going to go around the room. Everyone can give their last 2, 3, 4, 5 cents or $1.50. Bahram, you have the mic.
Yeah, what I always like to add is what I see since I've been on this journey, and when I post things or I talk about things, is the people that I am debating these conspiracies with, or I'll stick to the conspiracy theories. What you'll find is that they have only heard one side of the story, and I believe that until you know both sides, your opinion is not your own. So, for example, my sister-in-law, she often likes to, comment on some of my things that I post on my Instagram, and the one that springs to mind is, let's say, evolution, the theory of evolution, that we developed, we came from monkeys. Now, until she has learned about the opposite theory, which is creation theory, she can't know for sure. Like dinosaurs, like flat Earth. Has she looked into flat Earth? She ridicules me for believing in flat Earth, but has she ever looked into it? So this is the biggest problem that I think we have on both sides, because I know there's some conspiracy theorists that won't entertain listening to the media or any of the mainstream beliefs, is that until you learn both sides and all the facts, your opinion is not your own. It's indoctrination is the word. And when we go to public schools and we learn that there are 9 planets and that our globe is 263,000 miles in circumference, and we just accept that as fact, and then you come across a flat earther one day and you try to ridicule that flat earther without looking into what flat earth is, I find that really frustrating. And I'm using flat earth as an example, but it goes for every conspiracy theory out there. Because like Crucible Man said, like, he hasn't been offered up any facts, but he's maybe just not talking to the right people, or hasn't really looked into it for himself. Because I can guarantee we could sit here for 10 hours and I could talk to you about flat earth for 10 hours, and I know for a fact, and I wouldn't want you guys to turn into flat earthers on the basis of listening to me for 10 hours. It took me 8 months of constant research every day, watching debates, watching documentaries, reading books, and I became a flat earther because it made way more sense to me. that might sound crazy to some people, but I don't want to be a flat earther. I just am. It's just so much. It's common sense to me. It makes way more sense, and I can't unsee it. And if someone was to show me otherwise, then I'll happily turn back and make a video and post it out on YouTube and get millions of views, because that's the type of content that the media will push, not the opposite. I would quite happily make that video saying I apologize, I was wrong. But until that day comes, these theories make way more sense to me than the mainstream CIA controlled narrative. The Operation Mockingbird, Barack Obama reverting the Smith-Mundt Act that allows the American media to lie to their own people. You can look that up. He did that in 2015. The Clintons, when he was in power, he regulated the media so that they can now monopolize the media. I think all the channels and media there is in the world is owned by 5 companies: ABC, Disney, Viacom, and I forget the other 2. So you're literally finding all your information is coming from 5 companies, and I just, like I keep saying, I want people to talk to people like me instead of ridicule them and walking away and getting mad, because if I am right, which I believe I am, then we all need to stick together and take down the evil. That's all I can say.
Well, Bob, I will say this. I'm not ridiculing you. I respect what you have to say. You say it in a very respectful way. You don't, come across as condescending or anything. And I think they also respect you. In fact, I know they do. I've had feedback on, like I said, on people on my show and how they feel about you. So much love. So that's all I can say for that right now. F1, do you have any final comments or any final words?
Yes, I just wanted to quickly touch on what you said earlier about free choice. I don't fully agree, like regards to getting the jab and wearing masks and stuff. I currently live in New Zealand, and out here, I was basically told, I need to get the jabs, all the jabs and stuff, in order to basically keep my job. And if I couldn't keep my job, I'd obviously be forced to go back to South Africa. So in that regard, I believe we were forced. I mean, I was originally against getting the jab. I believe it should be our choice, and we should be able to choose what we put in our bodies and stuff. And so, yeah, I just believe we were forced in getting the jab and forced to wear masks. We can't go anywhere without wearing a mask, and that should be your choice. So that's just what I feel on that topic.
Okay. Crucible Man?
Yeah, I agree with Bahram. I had made a comment earlier and made kind of hit me with it, rightfully so. There is information out there. You can research things and you can do your own research. Now, the sources of that information, you might question. And Michael Key made a comment and kind of stole my thunder a little bit, but there's something to be said for healthy skepticism in the general populace. And when it comes to the people versus the government is very much anti-skepticism. When the people start asking questions and start asking for transparency and holding things up to the light, they are going to push back because it's about a control thing. So I think skepticism is healthy. We need to be skeptical. And when you are skeptical, you're questioning and you're asking for more information and you're asking for evidence. Bahram makes an excellent point, and so did Made. If it's out there, it's up to me as a person. If I'm challenging something, then I should go and find a way to either refute it or corroborate it. But there's nothing wrong with pushing back to say, show me a little bit more proof before I buy in.
Okay. Made, you have the mic.
I agree with what Barham said. Crucible Man, government, they don't just they don't push back. They realize pushing back doesn't work. They give you an event. They make something happen and divert your focus. It's always George Bush. You ever hear the saying? Ever heard the saying George Bush tactics?
Mm-hmm.
It's always a George Bush tactics there. Something really important that people on a whole are looking at, but they always bring a catastrophe or a diversional tactics to draw your focus from it so that they can either fix it or use that as a escape tactics so you don't focus on the real things at hand and you're focusing on either feelings and emotions and stuff like that because they're trying to pull on your heartstrings. So the bigger consensus that's going on behind the curtain, you don't focus on that, which means things that can cost you your livelihood, um, financially, both spiritually, mentally, all of that health being like with your food and stuff like that. Yeah. So as for F1 in Australia, if you guys had started to push back from early, you wouldn't have gone through to that because that's the tactics they would use. If you don't do this, we're gonna send you back home. But you guys didn't choose to rally, and I'm not saying to be all crazy with it, but if you guys had stood up and talk or show them that we're not about that and come together, then they would have realized and they wouldn't have tried to do that. But once you're conforming to their stipulations and rules and mandates, they're gonna realize that we can do whatever you want. As Barham said, there's a lot of information there out there, and it's just up to an individual to look and see what makes sense to you. Even in the Bible, there's everything there. Even though I don't really too fancy with the Bible, but there's a lot of things depicted in the Bible are stated that you can take from it in movies, in cartoons, and stuff like that. They put the information there, but you're not making the correlation until the event has happened. Then you can subconsciously draw back for it and say, I saw that in a movie and it's there. Everything is there in plain sight. It's just that you need to be more observant, more aware. Thank you, Miss Soul
Okay.
Sister.
Okay, I want to read something that Michael Key said. He says, if we never question anything, we would not be as advanced as we are. Humans constantly challenge science, math, philosophy, and politics. That's how you grow. We are a species of questions, not answers. If everything was black and white, then we would have no motivation or purpose to get better. This is actually a big fault of communism. And I actually agree with that. I think I think that that is true. Um, but in terms when I want to go back to the choice thing. I'm supposed to be ending this show, but now I'm going back to something that the F1 said. Um, we all do have choices. We may not like the choices that we have, but we do have choices. Um, in the US, you have a choice. If you want your child to go to kindergarten, they have to get you have to get mumps, measles, rubella shots. That's what they have to do. If your child, when they go to college, if they want to live in the dorm or in the residence hall, they have to get certain shots. You can choose not to get it, and that's your choice. But uh, we all may not like them. There are things that that we all have to face. There are things that I'm told that I cannot do unless I do it. If I don't want to do it, then there are many things I've sat at home because I refuse to conform to something that someone said. I just didn't do it. So we do have choices. We may not like them, but we do have choices. So, on that note, I do want to bring Bahram back on because we are actually going to be doing a show together. And I'm excited for it. It's going to be a little different. We are going to, it's going to be pre recorded first, and it will be Zoom. It is going to be a round table. and we're going to invite people on. We're still nailing down a couple of things, but I'm really excited to do it with Bahram because we're on two opposite sides. I think one way and he thinks another, but we both have that respect for each other. Bahram, do you want to add anything?
No, I think you've covered it really. It's just I'm really excited for hopefully the end of the month we get our first episode out. At the panel, we're really happy with it. We are going to invite, guests on. We're trying to keep it to maybe 5 or 6 people so that we can keep the time down to maybe an hour and a half, 2 hour per episode. But we're still, deliberating on a name and a theme song. And once we've got that, we can fire ahead with opening up accounts on Podbean and Zoom and social media account and all that. So stay tuned, guys. This show has really captured my, I've always loved having these conversations, not just about conspiracies, but, freedom of speech, gun control, like the topics that Solid Blue has brought every night, even the more lighthearted ones have just, I'm just hooked every night. I'm jumping on at 9 o'clock. I'm obviously from Scotland, so it's 9 o'clock at night here. But I really look forward to these conversations that challenge your beliefs and your mindset. And I'm just so excited to get a show going with Solid Blue at the end of the month, and hopefully all you guys stay tuned for that and follow along with us. And if you feel that you can jump on Zoom, and you don't have to show your face, you don't even have to use your real name. I know some of these topics are, really, demonized a lot, and if you don't want, you don't have to. But we are looking for guests already. If we can have people on a list that we can just ask you guys if maybe freedom of speech is one that you would like to come on and do, then you might be the one that we ask on. So just look out for us. Yeah.
And then, and as always, as you guys know, when you're on my show, it will be, you can say what you want, just be respectful, and no butting in, no cutting people off. I try to let people have the mic, and let them speak whatever they want to say. But I think that the show that Bahram and the concept that we have, I think that you guys are going to like it. And again, I'm really excited for it, and I'm excited to work with Bahram. So, Bah, do you have anything else?
Can I also just plug my own podcast, because I think a lot of the people in here tonight, I haven't seen them in here since I've been on regularly. But in regards to the conspiracy stuff, I do have a show. If you click on my logo there, you won't find it because I'm not on Podbean. I do video podcast on BitChute and also on YouTube. But unfortunately, I'm on my 3rd strike already on YouTube. So there's only maybe 14 or 15 episodes on there. There's about 20 odd on BitChute. And everywhere you want to listen to, Anchor, Spotify, everywhere pretty much, you'll find my show. And again, if anyone wants to come on and do a one-on-one where you can debate me, or we can go away for a couple of weeks and research a conspiracy theory and then come back and share our findings together for the listeners, anyone's more than welcome to be on there. So just search for Bahram U Podcast, and I'm also mainly on Instagram as Bahram U Pod. So that's where I do most of my posting. But everyone's been really amazing tonight. The comments section's been great, and I've loved it. This show, when I saw the topic, I was just so excited. It's like, I hope I don't, bore you guys with my rants and things. And listen, I've got really thick skin. If you guys wanted to slate me for believing in flat Earth, bring it on, because I do love it. I think it's fun. I don't see these issues and topics and theories as something that we should fall out over, because we're all, I think that is the biggest thing I like to promote. And I've said this a lot to Solid Blue, is my calling is to keep us not being divided. I with politics, with conspiracies, Crucible Man, you're right. There is an element of division built into the conspiracy theory, but that's not what we want. And I think everyone hopefully agrees that we are divided more than ever right now, and that needs to change. So having these conversations is key. So thanks, guys, again, and thanks, Solid Blue, for having us.
Well, thank you, and everyone. Tomorrow, I hope to see you tomorrow. The conversation won't be as deep, but this was a good show, and I appreciate everyone joining in the chat or taking the mic, and I appreciate everyone liking the show. And Juju, Crucible, and Frankie, thank you very much for your pod things. So until tomorrow, go where the wind takes you. I'm Solid Blue Sister, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Thank you, Ba. Thank you, F1. Thank you. Your first time on my show. Thank you so much for joining in. And Crucible Man, thank you as always. And Matthew, Michael Key, Jester, one of these days you are going to have to take the mic. Made Man, and that guy. And Frankie, as always, thank you so much. And Michael Key, you have to take the mic too sometimes. So. Let's see. And thank you again, everyone, for liking the show. Michael, I do believe Bahram signed off. You have that plane question. Did he answer that? Oh, yeah. Okay, I saw that. Okay. And Ba and we're going to have a Zoom conference on Wednesday, so hopefully we'll have that name down pat. But we're targeting the first show hopefully for February 26th, and that is a Saturday. So hopefully you guys, the ones who are invited onto the panel, you will be available. Thank you, F1. I like hosting. Thank you. Hey, Angie, welcome, girl, but you're late. We're signing off. But thank you for coming. Okay, y'all. Hope to see you tomorrow. Bye.